mom came into the room and she's like, look at my phone. And then I couldn't see it, so I had to look at mine. I'm like, oh.
I can't bet against Tom Brady. I have the Bucks winning 31-27 and Tom Brady going to his 10th championship.
Yeah, and I really think the Clippers' chance to win the championship was last year. And they were up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets.
Chris Paul is one of the most underrated players of all time. He's been the best player wherever he goes, and that includes with the Rockets.
You said you can't bet against Tom Brady, and as a Cowboys fan and what I just did last weekend, I am not going to bet against Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. I mean, that's all I can really say. There's two of the top 5 players in the league, and they are very, very good.
Hello, I'm Taylor Hearn, and you listen to The Outsiders' Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NBA Opinions of the Week. I'm Kevin. I'm joined by the man, Austin, who more analytical, and we kind of had my emotional, but this is kind of looking at the analytical side of the Luka trade. But even taking out as much emotional part as I can, Austin, this is one of the worst trades of all time. I don't think that's hyperbole. You are trading top 3 NBA player at 25. And he's gone. And you have at least a year of him, and the guy you get back is 31 years old. Wow. I will look at this. The thing that is kind of exciting, also I'm curious about this. Derek Lively and Anthony Davis. You could also do this with Daniel Gafford, which we'll see. Pretty cool from a defensive standpoint.
Yeah, and the Mavs also traded today as we're recording for Caleb Martin, which I think is a good deal. I know Quentin Grimes is averaging more points, shooting better from 3, but Grimes is not as good as a defender as Caleb Martin. Grimes has played in 9 playoff games, while Caleb Martin's played in 45. I if you're going to trade for Anthony Davis, you need to commit to defense, and they are by trading for Caleb Martin, so I think that makes sense. But what makes this trade horrible isn't, to me, the fact that I think the Mavs are better right this second than they were pre-Luka injury, because their defense may be the best defense in the league in short order. What makes this the worst trade is that in 5 years, AD will be 36, turning 37. Well, because in March, he turns 32. So in 5 years, you don't even know if you're going to have AD. And if you do, he's going to be 37. He's had injury concerns in his past. He's on a Joel Embiid level or Kawhi level injury prone player, but he does deal with some injuries. And Luka is going to be 30. And that is when a lot of players are, if they're not already their best, they are still getting better. I mean, LeBron at 30 was still getting better. I mean, we've all seen a tweet I can't replicate here, but basically that LeBron was going to be done soon, and he wasn't. The fact that you give up on a player that's going to be good for so long is just bad business. It's just not smart business. And that's to get away from the emotional side. That's to get away from the loyalty aspect. Because I do think this is a breach of loyalty. You didn't know. It's a breach of loyalty. And I would definitely not have traded him. Even it would have to be a crazy package. I mean, we talked in our last video about 10 picks, Chet and J-Dub. And I don't even think the Thunder would make that trade. So I don't think Luka has a price tag that's reasonable for both sides. Right, so that's why you don't trade him. He's an untradeable asset. In 2K, whenever you're creating a My League, you can put players on your untradeable, or basically will not trade. And so the CPU won't send you trade offers, because normally the CPU will send you trade offers for all your players if it's reasonable. But you always put your Luka, your LeBron, your Giannis, your Jokic on that will not trade. No matter what you offer me, I'm not trading him. Because there's no way you're going to give me an offer that actually competes. Like, yes, I do believe firmly that every player has a price tag, even Jokic, even Wemby. but that price tag is so demandingly high that it is impossible to ever reach it and keep your team at all good after you get them. And we'll look at this first. The easiest team to look at first, the Jazz. They get Jalen Hood-Schifino and a pick. And while I do think Hood-Schifino has struggled in the Lakers, he'll have a better chance of actually becoming good with the Jazz. But on to the Lakers. I mean, the Lakers are going to have the worst front court defense in the league by far, not close. I thought the Wizards were going to be the worst paint defense of all time. And now it looks like the Lakers are trying to come for their throne. But this is a post-LeBron move. And you don't make this trade to win a championship this year. And I don't think they will. I don't think they will even be close to a championship this year because unless they get a really big center. Let's say team stays as is, there's no way they can contend. They have LeBron, who's playing his worst defense of his career, Luka, who's had defensive problems, and Austin Reeves, who's also not the best defender. And then your front court's even worse at defense if that's even possible. Besides whoever you're playing at your power forward, I guess you would have to play Dorian at center and Vando at power forward or vice versa. And those guys can't really guard Jokic or guard really big centers. And a healthy Embiid, they can't guard it. A Giannis, a Wemby, any one of those really, really big centers, they can't guard them. They're not tall enough or big enough to do that. So they're going to struggle a lot on defense, but they easily win the trade. Again, if they just, I said this in the past video, they win the trade as long as they win more titles than the Mavs did in Luka's career. And they're going to have the great opportunity to do that. I think LeBron doesn't retire this season, comes back next year. He has a retirement run, but next year, I mean, who knows what they do at the draft? Who knows what they do at free agency? And while I definitely, no moves, don't think they're contenders at all this year. Again, I think they literally would have the worst defense besides the Wizards in the entire league. But next year, they could be totally contenders. They just make a trade for a good defensive power forward that can shoot and a good defensive center, and there you are. I mean, you have basically the blueprint for having a championship team. What are your thoughts on the Lakers side of things?
Yeah, the Lakers, it's like you talk about gutting your team. They're just like, they gave up one first-round pick, one young guy in Max Christie, get rid of Anthony Davis. To me, it's like, I don't care how I am this season. I have Luka. Like, you have a top 5 NBA player. Your team's not gutted. And like the comp for Luka has been LeBron. You have 2 great passers. You do make a great point with defense, but it's like, you just got to do it because you're like, we'll be competitive this year, but then we'll figure something out. You also, the thing that is, I'm trying to think, when Chris Paul was never on the Lakers, right? It was always theorized he'd be on the Lakers, right? I'm talking about with LeBron, because I'm trying to bring a point, like, you have Dalton Connect, even next year, rookie guy who can shoot. You have 2 guys who can make incredible passes to Dalton Connect, or another shooter, Dorian. Dorian played well with Luka. From the Lakers, it's you get 2 great passers and you get post LeBron. You have another star from that perspective of, we have a guy that is like LeBron. Like, he can help win us championships. He has that finals experience. He is going to get better. Like, it's also just like, he's incredible and you have the chance to retain him. And if not, you have him for 2 more years, which is pretty incredible. So yeah, from the Lakers perspective, it's just like, you jump on this deal. You don't care how much it messes with you.
And Luke is an incredibly loyal guy. I would be shocked if Luka does not end his career as a Laker. I mean, I would be shocked if he didn't end his career as a Mav, but I find no way the next 10 to 15 years he is not a Laker. The Lakers have the owners that are willing to pay big salaries, and Luka's going to want to stay with the team that decided that he's good enough to stay there. And obviously the Mavs didn't think that was possible. But back on, let's go to the Mavs now. For this season, I think you could argue that they're going to have the chance to be the best defense in the league. AD, I do think some Mavs are overreacting to the haul that is AD. AD is a top 10 player in the league. And if he's not top 10, he's 11. And if he's not top 11, he's 12. I mean, he's right there. You're not. The difference between Luka and AD this season is not as much as people think it is, because Luka did not bring the 1.5 steals and 2 blocks with all the rebounds and really hard rebounds that AD gets. AD can score the ball really efficiently. He still can pass good for a big too. He averages 3.5, 4 assists per game. So it is a good get for this season alone. And Max Christie's good. I think Max Christie's been a good starter for the Lakers recently, and I do think that's a good grab as well. The problem is, in 3 years, when most likely Kyrie is no longer on the team, there's a chance AD isn't even on the team anymore because his contract runs out 3 years after this year. You're kind of in a situation where you're in a tanking situation already. It's going to be hard to get back to the point where you're a contender after these next 3 years.
Yeah, to jump off that in the tanking situation. But of course, yeah, AD is great, and it helps you now this season. Kyrie can opt out after this season. But the thing is, it takes your championship window to 3 years, as you said. And that's stretching it to me. It's this year or next year, really. Because you don't know what Kyrie's going to do. And also with the Lakers, it's like your championship's open as long as you have Luka and you just put some stuff around him. But talking about that tanking situation, the Mavs don't have all their picks. They traded those picks to build Luka, and it was working. But once you take Luka out of the equation and you don't get your picks back, the Mavs don't have that many picks. And you're giving it, you have the Lakers pick, but they're going to have Luka most likely. And there's a lot of pick swaps. The Thunder have a pick swap with the Mavs. Through some trade, the Mavs gave up a lot of their picks to build this team. So from a tanking situation, you don't have picks back. You're going to have to trade more guys. And they also gave up a second round pick with the Sixers. So it's a move for the future, which is you're hurt by, and you don't have your picks. So how do you build a team?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't have a pick until, what is it, 2031?
Maybe, yeah. Your own pick. 2029, I think, is the pick they got back. This is also just like, as we talked about in the emotional video. I like how we're calling it the emotional video, or I'm going to call it the emotional video from the emotional perspective for those of y'all that haven't listened. It was just like they didn't make it. You just zoned in on one guy, and I don't know if you heard about this. There was a trade package that included Dalton Connect and multiple picks.
Yep. And
then Rob Pelinka just played into what Nico Harrison thought of, like, I'm taking a lot on with the risk of him being overweight. I'm not giving you these picks, which is just fantastic.
It's crazy to me because Kevin, for a fact that if he said, no, I want the picks and Dalton Connect, he'd have been like, okay. There's no way he doesn't take the trade. Yeah. He's just trying to get more out of it. I mean,
he's just going, hey, playing hardball. And you limited yourself to one buyer, not 31 other teams or whatever. How many teams there are?
30 other teams. 30 because other it would be without the Lakers. Or no. It'd be 28 other teams because there's 30 teams in the NBA. Yeah. You can't talk about the Mavs, and also it'd be not the Lakers. So 28 other teams. And yeah, I guarantee you the haul they would have got from some of these other teams would have been miles better. And while I don't necessarily know, I mean, the Mavs would have had to tank for a good bit of them because they would just get 10 firsts. They just get so many picks. I think the team that would have traded for him was the Rockets. The Rockets do have a lot of young players. They do. They have a lot of future picks. But if you added Luka on this year's Rockets, one of the best defensive teams in the league, they're easily my title favorites. They are so good. And to see Şengün and Luka play together would have been insane. I don't think you'd have to shade Şengün. Just give him, again, 8 firsts, Amen Thompson. I don't think you and Fred VanVleet, and that's probably monetarily that would work. And while yes, the Mavs are still, in my opinion, not in a great spot this season because they're not really bringing back an 80 level player. in the future is significantly better in that trade. And again, I probably wouldn't even make that trade if the Rockets offered it. I wouldn't even put Luka on the market to begin with. But I think the Mavs, again, their window, if you put it at 2, that's fair. I'm going to keep mine at 3, but if you put it at 2, that's fine. I totally understand that. I'm keeping it really for the length of the AD contract.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be hard. In 8 years, I don't see how they're not one of the worst teams in the league. I just don't see how it's possible. And I don't see how it's possible that the Lakers are. That's my thing. I don't see how the Lakers are bad in 8 years.
Look at
in
the
8 years,
Mavs
Luke is 33.
4 years ago.
They
weren't bad. Look at the Mavs 4 years ago. They weren't bad.
Yeah.
Like that's the floor of Luka. Sorry to interrupt, but like that's the floor, and he's only 25. That's the thing.
Yeah, we look at 8 years. 8 years. 80s, 31, turning 32. No, he's 31, 32 right now. He'll be 39, turning 40, and Luka will be 33, turning 34. That's a huge gap. I mean, LeBron at 34 was still prime LeBron, like all-time prime LeBron.
And you talk about conditioning. I'll go with what they said. There are theories out there, but what they said, conditioning. He's 25. He can go, okay, I'm going to take conditioning seriously now. And you have
the
5
other
years.
player sorry to interrupt, but the other player we hear this about is Jokic. Could you imagine the Nuggets? Like, yes, is Jokic a better player than Luka right now? Yes. But can you imagine that being the reason? Oh, I'm only averaging a triple-double while averaging 30 points, 14 or 13 boards, and 10 assists. Oh, I'm a little bit fat. I can eat whatever I want. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. When you're that good, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's kind of like what happened, and this is a bad example, but I'm just going to say it. Sometimes pitchers like Bartolo Colon get a little bit definitely out of their prime when it comes to Colon could definitely have pitched harder or maybe more accurately if he had slimmed down a little bit, but he had won a Cy Young earlier in his career, so teams didn't care, right? So he had already been to an All-Star game. He'd made where he was a Cy Young level pitcher, one of the best pitchers in the league that season. And so you just say, this is just how he is, instead of trying to get him to be more fit. Now, if this is your sixth man, I get it. But Luka's always been a player that gets better in the playoffs. He's always been a player to uplift his teammates. And while, yes, I have had a problem in the past with Luka always crying to the refs at times, but it's like you said before, it's something you live with. I mean, it's just the guy you have. And when he is as good as Luka is, you give him a pass.
And also, I will say again, he's 25. He's still learning. He may go, I need to stop doing that. Then let's say he's 28. Then he's still good for 3 years. Yeah. So it's just the level of talent he has now, and talking with his anger with the refs, he still got his team to the NBA Finals. So
really, Kevin, I have to say something really quickly. But I've had these moments every day. I've had a moment where this is actually real. I just had another moment. I don't know why I had these moments where I'm like, this is actually real life. We're actually discussing what I think we're discussing. I'm not hallucinating. That's how crazy this trade is to happen.
It's crazy that it's just not vetoed by the league, which I understand.
It can't be. Again, people bring up the Chris Paul trade. I'm going to do a little bit of history lesson for Kevin and everyone else. The Chris Paul trade was only vetoed because the Hornets had sold their team. They had no buyer, so the league bought the Hornets. That's what happened. The owner wanted out. And he said, I'm done. Someone has to buy the team. I'm done. And no one bought the team, so the league bought the team from him with eventually to sell it. So when the GM made the trade to trade CP3 to the Lakers, the league vetoed it, aka the owners of the team. It wasn't anybody can be traded as long as the roster capacity doesn't go over, the salary cap doesn't go over, and there's not a no trade clause that one of the players has. As long as those three requirements are true. Oh, also you can't trade back-to-back picks, back-to-back first-round picks that are your own. Those four requirements are met, you can trade anyone. It doesn't matter if you get fleeced. It doesn't matter. Again, people always bring up the David Stern. Yes, technically did. David Stern was the owner of the team, technically. He's the commissioner in the league. So when the league owns the team, he's basically, he's the owner of the team. Now, everyone wanted to see CP3 with Kobe, and that's why everybody brings it up. But the league did not veto the trade. The owner of the team vetoed the trade. It just so happened that the leagues were the owner of the team. So there's never going to be a veto from the league unless the league owns a team again.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. But it also feels like this is so unfair.
No, I get. It can't.
But yeah, it's
it will never happen. It will never happen.
As much as I wish, but yeah, this is awful. I understand. Like, it is. I feel like I'm suspending reality right now because I'm imagining Luka with all these players, but it's not in a Mavs uniform. But yeah, no, it's so.
Luka's a lob first player. There will be a lob that they may recreate the. I know D-Wade did not throw a lob to LeBron on that famous dunk, but there's going to be a Luka lob, a Luka lob to LeBron very shortly, and that'll be one of the most. That'll be a poster on some kid's wall in LA.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's the analytics. Like, your championship window for the Lakers is as long as Luka is available. To me, Anthony Davis works with this team, but how much can you keep this team together? That's all I got. I'll let you close this one out.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. I appreciate Kevin going through both of these videos. He definitely it wasn't easy. I don't think I've had something this drastic happen. This would be like if Judge got traded. But or at least a fleece with Judge getting traded. But I appreciate it, and please let us know what you guys think about the trade. Is it possible for the Mavs to win this deal or not? Let us know in the comments, and thank you all for listening.